G'day there. Just having a glass of soy milk. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this recipe on the kitchen evolution. This week has been hectic for me. It's been so busy. It's been at times overwhelming. And I thought it was a perfect message for this week's recipe episode thing. What are you prioritizing in life? And what are you not prioritizing in life? I think the craziest thing is that we have this desire to put blame onto external circumstances, into current circumstances, into other people, other things, without ever really taking full accountability for our own lives. The only reason why this week has been overwhelming is because I didn't prioritize things that were really, really important to me, like spending time with my wife, spending time in nature, just doing things that bring fun and joy to my life. I was so busy doing other things, and I allowed those things to get in the way. And the crazy thing is over the last 7-8 years, I've worked so hard on my mindset. I've developed a very acute sense of self-awareness, so I can pull myself up on and notice these things when they happen in order to change them. And I think the crazy thing is that most people don't have a very good level of self-awareness. They don't understand how they're getting into these things because we're brought up, we're conditioned to believe that life happens to us, when really it's happening for us. And so if you're living life and you're feeling stressed, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling anxious, I want you to spend the next couple of days to really think about what you want your life to look like. Like, we have one fucking shot at this, guys. One. There's no going back. So if the majority of your days are spent having negative thoughts, being overwhelmed, being stressed, being nervous, being anxious, I'd say a significant proportion of those thoughts are coming because you're not actively prioritizing certain things in your life. You're just leaving things up to chance. So I'd love you guys to ponder about the things that you really do value in life and how you can add more of those things into your daily life, your weekly life, your monthly life. It is so goddamn fucking important to prioritize things that we want more of in life. You can't blame other people for not doing that. You can't blame the circumstances you're in for not prioritizing your own time or your own things. And I think if the world collectively just took total responsibility and total accountability for our individual lives, we'd see this collective evolution of groupthink, of the way that the world operates, the way that people feel, the level of happiness and fulfillment that there is in the world. But that really starts with you taking accountability of the things that are most important to you, changing things and removing people, circumstances, attitudes that don't belong in your life anymore. Quit thinking it's anyone else's fault except yours. And I know there are so many things that happen to us that we have absolutely no control over. I'm not saying do things about those because you can't control them. But if you look at any situation in your life, you look at the ones that have been, the ones that are happening right now, and the ones in the future, the only variable there is yourself. Like, the only constant thing in every situation you will ever be in, have been in, and are currently in, the only constant is yourself. So if you take accountability for yourself, you realize you can't change things you've done. You may be able to change some of the things you're doing right now, but you can absolutely change the things that you're going to do and are about to do. And you take accountability for everything. I promise you, life changes very quickly. You find this internal sense of empowerment, and when you move forward from that accountability space, feeling empowered, you change the fucking world. I'm going to go and have my first taste test with these absolutely epic vegan loaded nachos. I'm so excited for these. These are one of my favorite foods of all time. I know you guys are going to love this recipe as well. Hey guys, it's your boy Nick Taylor, and we're back for another epic recipe on the kitchen evolution. So today we're making fully loaded vegan nachos with queso sauce, with refried beans. It just gets so emotional about food. So the first thing we're actually going to do, which I've already done because I'm an absolute peasant and didn't record that part, but I've soaked a cup of beans. They're called fucking Harry Cott's Blanks. Whatever sort of bean you want to use, you can use red kidney beans, black kidney beans. I prefer white beans like navy beans or even like pinto beans. So I've soaked a cup of those in water overnight. It just helps remove some of those anti-nutrients from the beans. And that's quite often what gives people a lot of like indigestion or distress, is they're buying already canned beans where, you know, the companies that are making mass-produced beans aren't really taking the time to soak them, care for them, you know, cook them with the care or the required soaking times and everything that you can do yourself. So I prefer to make my beans from scratch. I know what goes in them. And it's kind of gross over here because some of the refried beans actually contain lard, which is just like, I don't know, it's very odd. So the first thing I've done is soak those overnight. We're going to cook those, cook the beans until they become soft and turn them into refried beans, or they won't be refried because I'm not going to fry them. What the fuck is refried beans? Why are they called refried? I'm not frying them. And while we do that, I'm also going to prepare the vegan queso sauce, which honestly guys is fucking legit. Like, this queso sauce is insane. I can't remember where I first saw the recipe. I've made some own personal additions. Honestly, it's so delicious. The ingredients are going to be like, what the fuck is going on here? But honestly, it turns out so incredibly good. So let's get on with that. Okay team, so the very first thing we're going to do is put our beans onto boil. They have been soaking overnight, but it really does depend on the type of bean you're using, how long it's going to take to cook. I'm guessing these are going to take around 45 minutes to an hour. And while these are cooking, we're going to be able to prepare pretty much everything else so that everything comes together at the same time. You know, we don't have to worry about warming anything else up, and we can just create our loaded nachos and keep going. So these bad boys, I've drained them, I've filled it up with fresh water just to get some of that stuff out of the water that they soak in. You know, they're pretty tender. You know, they split easily. They've been soaking overnight. So yeah, I'm just going to chuck those on max. We're going to boil them for as long as they take. And while we do that, I'm going to get another saucepan and we're going to make our queso sauce. So with our second pan, we're going to actually boil a few things and then blend it to make the vegan queso sauce. Like I said, this seems pretty strange for the first time that you make it. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how is this going to taste delicious? But just trust me, this is some of the... Sink, please stop urinating. Why? Why do you have to do that now? So the first thing we're actually going to do is take one potato about that size and peel it and put it in the saucepan. Exactly. You're like, the fuck is a potato doing in queso sauce? Again, just trust me. Just fucking trust me. So it's going to yield us roughly 1 cup of diced potato. We're going to dice it relatively evenly, just, you know, some small dices, you know, this sort of size, because we're just going to boil them until they become very, very tender. The other thing we're going to chuck in here is 1 cup of raw cashews. They're just going to go on top. And then we're going to cover with just enough water to cover everything in there. So I'm going to take that away, fill the water up to just being able to cover the stuff in there by, you know, just a little bit. We're going to also put that bad boy onto max heat. Let it come to the boil, and we'll boil it for probably, you know, a good 15-20 minutes until the potatoes get really, really tender. Lol, I turned on the wrong fucking element. Good one. So as you can see, a jug has appeared on the stovetop because my very needy
Hey!
cute wife wants a tea, and I'm taking up all of the stove space. So there we go. Okay guys, so in here I have my potatoes and cashew nuts. They've been boiling for about 15 minutes. I completely removed the water from them, just strain the water out. They're pretty gluggy, so you don't have to be too anal when it comes to that. But that's going to be the base to our queso sauce. What we're going to do now is add a couple of things. We're going to blend it, we're going to put it to the side because we'll reheat it just before we put it on top of the nachos right at the end. It's going to be so epic. So first things first is we're actually going to get a cup of soy milk or almond milk, whatever you want to use, and put it into the potato cashews. No one saw anything and nothing happened. And word of advice, when you're using Tetra Paks, it actually helps to pour with the little outlet at the top, because then you don't do exactly what I just did. With that, we're just going to blend it up, so we start creating that, and we're going to add a couple more things. Now we're going to add the remainder of the ingredients. This is most likely going to give you more queso sauce than you need, but honestly it's so good you want to drown your nachos in it anyway. So the other ingredients, we've got to get 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. So nutritional yeast is an incredible ingredient. Most of it is fortified with B12, so if you hear the argument that vegans can't get B12, nutritional yeast is a pretty dependable source. It's really high in protein, and it adds this like really nice, that umami flavor to things like cheeses or mock meats, which I'm going to be doing some really epic mock meat recipes in the near future. But nutritional yeast is a really staple ingredient for a lot of vegan cooking. We're going to get our trusty jar of jalapenos. We're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5, 6, 7 bits of jalapeno from there, sliced jalapenos. We're just going to add a little bit of the liquid from in there. It's going to give us a nice little vinegary touch. Alternatively, you could use hot sauce. You could use a tablespoon of hot sauce or a couple of tablespoons of hot sauce, like Tabasco or Cholula's. OG hot sauce, Cholula's. I like using fresh jalapenos and a little bit of the liquid. We're going to jam out just under a teaspoon each of onion powder and garlic powder. Now, it's super humid here at the moment, so if your stuff's not sealed, your onion and garlic powder has the tendency to do this when it's super humid. I'm not going to waste that. It's still totally fine. It's going to get blended up anyway, so no loss there. And we're also going to add in a teaspoon of salt. I just use Pink and Lane, so I mentioned last week why, but whatever salt you have. And we're just going to blend that again until it's really, really smooth. Damn, that is good. Ooh, that's spicy. So I'm just going to put this into a little bowl for later. Wow, who said vegans were weak? And I'm just going to put this to the side. We don't really need this right until the end, so off she goes. Okay, so these bad boys have been boiling for about 45 minutes. I'm just going to give them a little check. If they're pretty much all the way tender, that's exactly what we want. Yeah, see, I can squish them really easily within my fingers. So I'm going to take that off the boil now. Just going to let them cool down a little bit, and then we're going to fry some onion in a pan, add the beans to it, and we're going to make our refried beans / once fried beans. So while we wait for those little beanies to just cool down a little bit, you don't really need to let them cool down. I mean, we're going to fucking heat them up again in a second anyway. I'm going to teach you guys how to make a delicious salsa. First things first, this is a little trick I learned a while ago, because when you're using a chopping board and a knife and you've got your hands on and you're moving around, I mean, one little finger move, I can just push this whole fucking thing around. If you get just a damp cloth, made in Germany, damn, place it underneath your chopping board. It doesn't move around. So, most important things for a good salsa, I'm going to use fresh jalapeno, I'm going to use some lime, 2 little tomatoes, some sweet green pepper, some fresh cilantro, coriander. If you're one of those psychotic people that thinks that cilantro tastes like soap or something, send me a message and I'll book you in at the psychiatric facility. And we're going to use a little bit of red onion as well as just a little sprinkle of olive oil, some salt and some pepper to taste. But what you want from a salsa is just lots of really complementary fresh flavors, accented with the spices, like just the black pepper, the saltiness, and also that sour tone from the lime. So first of all, I'm just going to cut the very end of this red onion off, because we don't want too much red onion in there. One other little trick. Look at this. This is like things to learn in the kitchen at the same time. Apparently this thing is for that, which, I mean, I don't really give a shit, but it's pretty cool. Everyone thinks it's a handle, but with opposable thumbs you can actually carry things like that. It's wonderful. Little half a jalapeno. If you don't like spice that much, you might want to reduce the amount, get the seeds out. The seeds are actually the spiciest part, because they contain pretty much, if you think about it, concentrated one of these. And then same thing, we're just going to dice it into small little amounts. I don't think jalapeno is that spicy, so it's not going to be too bad. This. Oh shit, it's a spicy one. It's going to be delicious. I'm going to take our tomatoes, get our little paring knife. Where did I put it? I had it just before. Oh cool, it's in the sink. Paring knife number 2. Just get out the little core. No one wants to eat that shit. Stickers, come on. Canada. Cut these guys in half. Oh my god, another sticker. Almost made us ingest plastic. That look good enough. You might want a less chunky salsa. I really like a chunky salsa, so we're going with that. This bloody knife. I bought a nice knife for this cooking channel and it's just making me look like an absolute amateur. Thanks, knife. I'm gonna grab our green pepper. I'm actually gonna give this a quick wash first. So with our pepper, we're just gonna cut off 1/3 to 1/2. These bad boys are gonna go on top. Slice up, just probably about 1/4 cup of cilantro packed, and just, dice this up really finely. We get our lime in half. The limes here seem to have no seeds in them, so we're just going to squeeze half a lime on top of here. The other half is going to be for the guac. A little bit of pepper cracked on there. Just a little bit of salt. I'm actually going to mix this around with my hands. After that's done, I'm just going to pour just this tiny little drizzle of olive oil on there, and that can go into the fridge. Jesus, it can go into the fridge to sit until we're ready to put it on. Next up, we have some guacamole. Pretty much, if you don't know how to make guacamole, you should probably go to kindergarten. But anyhow, I'm going to show you. Sticker again. I'm not taking it off. Well, I am, because that's going on the compost, and the sticker, what? Okay, maybe I need to go back to kindergarten. Jesus! Oh yeah, look at that. So, let's just do a little prayer to the avocado gods, because the avocados I have had recently have been what would be called in the scientific realm utter shit. So, I'm manifesting a good one. Oh! That is just pristine. Look at that, avocado gods came through. Beautiful. Just gonna take a spoon, scoop out the inside of our avos. That is unreal. This is the best avocado I've had since I came to Canada. Not joking, like, that makes me so happy. We're going to squeeze the rest of our lime just on top of there. Some black pepper. As much as you want, like, there's no recipe for guacamole. Like, it's just whatever the fuck you feel like. A little bit of salt in there. I'm actually going to add a little bit of red onion as well. Just a little sliver, because I think it's delicious. First of all, I'm going to mash these bad boys. Just with a fork. These forks though, Jesus, this, oh. Same as the salsa, I'm just going to chuck this bad boy in the fridge until we're ready for it. Okay, so we've actually got a couple of things going on now. You can see there's a couple of pans here. I'm actually going to get another one out soon, but what we're going to be doing is using this large pan for making the refried beans, or the once fried beans. We're going to be using this small pan for creating some vegan mince, and we're going to be creating our own chips for this. So just out of fresh wheat tortillas and fresh corn tortillas. So we're just going to put both of these pans onto low-medium heat, about halfway. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the big pan for the refried beans, and just a little squirt for the mince. I've chopped up about 1/3 of a large white onion, and I'm going to put 1/2 to 2/3 of that into the refried bean mix. I'm just going to put the remainder into this little pan. Just going to fry these until they start to soften and, you know, start to become really clear. Fry them for about 4 or 5 minutes. These Tfal pans are actually really cool. Tfal used to be renowned for using PTFE in their coatings, but both of these are actually a ceramic coating, so definitely a healthier option. There's a lot of issues when it comes to PTFE, and I think PFOA is the other one. So when you're looking for pans for the kitchen, look for like a good quality ceramic coated one, and you want to be avoiding things like BPA, PTFE, and PFOA. Other thing I'm going to do just as the
What did you just say?
What I'm going to do just as the onion continues to fry is add about a cup of oil into a deeper pan or a saucepan. Let's make it 2 cups. Okay, so these onions are starting to brown up a little bit. They're going a little bit more translucent. They're starting to smell amazing. So in the big pan, I'm going to take the refried beans. I'm I'm going to chuck those bad boys in there. They're not refried yet, are they? The cooked beans. These could be straight out of the can, whatever. I'm going to stir those up for a little bit. And then this back one, we're going to use this stuff called TVP, textured vegetable protein. It's pretty much soy with the protein isolated from it and dehydrated. This stuff makes incredible mince bread with it. So that's going to go in there. And I've also made 1 cup of double strength stock. So 1 stock cube usually makes 2 cups. I've just used 1 cup of water. We're going to use half of this to pour into the TVP mix, the other half into the beans. We're going to get another half cup of fresh water and just put that into the TVP as well. The TVP does not need long at all to start absorbing that moisture. And we're going to turn that right down to low. We're going to put 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika into the beans, and we're going to put about a half tablespoon of smoked paprika into the mince. The other spice we're going to use is cumin. Half a tablespoon of cumin into the beans and half a tablespoon of cumin into the mince. It looks like beef mince, right? And with the beans, I'm going to stir that in there as well. Both of these on low temperature now. The other thing we're going to do with the beans is grab a potato masher and we're going to mash the beans lightly. So these beans look absolutely perfect. I'm just going to spread them out and we're going to turn the temperature off. You can give them one last little boof before they go on top, but you don't want to cook them too much because they'll go really, really dry. Same thing with the TVP mince. This is actually looking like it needs a little bit more water, so I'm going to add just another 1/4 cup of water in there. Probably the best thing you can do once these are just sitting here keeping warm is just give them a little taste test. You might find you need a little bit more salt, you might find you want some more cumin, some more smoked paprika, you might even want to add some things like chili or some Tabasco sauce or cholulas into that as well. Just do what you want, like get creative. So I'm going to take 4 corn tortillas and I'm going to take 4 original wheat tortillas. We're just going to cut each of these into 8s. I'm going to put those on top of there. So if you like maths, that was 8 tortillas in total. Multiplied by 8 segments gives us a total of 64 individual chips, which if you're having 2 people, that's 32 chips each, which seems like a very reasonable amount.
Cooking nacho chips, they gon' be the shit. Guac on top of dip, queso on my nips, beans and vegan mince, salsa in the mix, jalapeno tips. Nachos, nachos, can't wait to eat my fucking nachos. Priorities are lit, keep on top of it. Quit blaming your shit, step up and admit, build some fucking grit. Getting deep as shit while I cook my chips. Nachos, nachos, can't wait to eat my fucking nachos.
Okay, so what we have here, boys and boyesses, our refried beans, our mince. These guys have just been heating up. The queso sauce, that was just warmed up in the microwave. We have our salsa, we have our guacamole, and we have our sliced black olives. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get bad boys out of the oven. Oh. Honestly, these are perfect. Just gonna sprinkle a pinch of salt onto here. I'm gonna try and make this look pretty for the channel. It's my life's work, my dedication, my soul. But honestly, like, this is all about taste. Just shove all of the shit on and it's gonna taste delicious regardless.
Put the mince on first, then
I'm gonna do then these three and then some queso on top.
yeah, and do the guacamole last, and so the salsa, the olives, then the queso, and then the guacamole in dollops, like 3 big dollops or something.
Huh? Salsa, olives, guac, queso.
No.
Because I'm an absolute amateur with making things look nice, including myself, I just got a new way to do it, and I'm probably gonna fuck it up, but who cares? It's gonna taste amazing. See, look at this stuff. Like, this legit looks like beef mince, which is pretty cool. We good enough for now. Yep, some bad boy salsa. You see it's quite liquidy still, so I'm just gonna use a small spoon, just so I make sure that I'm not drizzling everything in too much liquid, otherwise we're gonna have some soggy ass chips. And like we said earlier, not a single person in the world likes a soggy chip. Soggy biscuit. Oh. If you haven't heard of that before, please do not Google it. Yeah. Ha! Oh well, I think that looks pretty good. Let's go and give it a jam. Here we fucking go, boys. I've made the wait for too long for these, and as we know, she gets a little bit angry, so don't hurt me. Enjoy. Dank. No queso sauce, it's legit.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Did you get a teaspoon for nachos?
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah man, just having my fucking soup here. Vegan alternative to fishing. Because you like put it in and then sometimes you get things. Oh, that's a big one, mate.
You're so weird.
When I tell the boys, they won't believe me.
Wait, are those green bits jalapeno?
Some are, most are capsicum. I'll just do a little outro.
Go for it, man.
So just remember, guys. Settle down. When we take accountability for life and all of it, the things that are happening to us, the things that we're doing, the things we're up to, and we come from that space of empowerment and accountability and self-responsibility, we can really start to begin to change things within our life and within other people's lives as well, because we lead by example. We show that taking priorities and setting boundaries and doing the right things is really, really important. So with that, I'm going to go and plate this stuff up. Do you want to go for a walk?
Yeah.
We're going to go for a walk, and I'll see you guys next week on The Kitchen Evolution. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Cooking nacho chips, they gon' be the shit. Guac on top of dip, queso on my nips, beans and vegan mints, salsa in the mix, jalapeno tips. Nachos, can't wait to eat my fucking nachos. Priorities are lit, keep on top of it. Quit blaming your shit, step up and admit, build some fucking grit. Getting deep as shit while I cook my chips.